All right, get this. You're not going to believe this. Remember how you were fascinated by sea stars and how they can regrow limbs? Well, hold on to your hat because today we're diving deep into the world of sea star regeneration.
It's a superpower, really.
Absolutely. And we've got a fascinating episode from Science 101, interesting facts you are unaware of, to guide our deep dive. It breaks down the entire sea star life cycle, but we're going to zero in on the regeneration part.
Makes you wonder, how did life on Earth evolve these kinds of survival strategies?
It really does. So we all know sea stars can regrow arms, but this episode really gets into the nuts and bolts of how it all works.
It's not magic, that's for sure.
Right. It all comes down to their biology.
Yeah, their anatomy plays a key role. Imagine this. Their central body's like a hub with a main nerve ring, and their arms, or rays, branch out from there.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Now, if a predator comes along and snaps off an arm, the nerves and cells in the remaining portion of the arm, they trigger this incredible regeneration process.
So it's like the sea star knows, hey, I'm missing a part here. Time to rebuild.
Exactly. And they don't just, slap together any old arm. It's like they have a blueprint, an internal map for the entire limb. They even use the term asexual reproduction in the episode because a single arm, if it's got a piece of that central disc, can actually develop into a whole new sea star.
Whoa, that's wild. But how do they actually, rebuild the arm? What's happening at the cellular level?
Well, that's where these amazing cells called blastomal cells come in.
Blastomal cells.
Yeah, think of them like the construction crew of the sea star world.
So they're like the building blocks, the raw materials for the new arm.
Precisely. These blastomal cells can divide and grow, and then they can differentiate, they can turn into all these different types of tissue, muscle, skin, even bone.
Wow. So it's like a perfectly choreographed dance of cells,
Yeah.
all working together to reconstruct the missing limb.
A pretty incredible process, right?
I'm just imagining this microscopic construction site with blastomal cells bustling around, putting everything back in place. So how long does this whole rebuilding process take? Are we talking weeks, months, years?
It really depends. The species, the environment. The episode gave an example of Pisaster ochrasis, a common sea star. It can regrow an arm in just a few months.
Just a few months. That's amazing. Some of us can barely wait a week for a hangnail to grow out.
Right, but here's the thing. This regeneration isn't limited to just limbs. Sea stars can actually regenerate their internal organs, too.
Wait, hold on. They can regrow organs. How is that even possible?
I know, right? It's mind-blowing. And get this, some species can even regenerate their entire body from just one arm and a piece of that central disc. That's resilience for you.
Seriously, that's like something out of a sci-fi movie. If sea stars can do that, what other crazy regenerative powers are hiding in the ocean?
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? There's so much we can learn from nature, especially when it comes to healing and resilience.
So we've got the basics of regeneration down. But this episode also hinted at some deeper questions. Like, how do these blastomal cells know what to become? What's directing this whole rebuilding project?
That's where it gets really fascinating. There's this idea of an internal map, like a set of signals that guide the blastomal cells. And it's not just about replacing missing parts, it's about maintaining the right proportions, ensuring the new arm fits perfectly into the sea star's body plan.
So it's not just rebuilding, it's like this intricate puzzle where everything has to fit together perfectly.
Yeah, exactly. And this complexity is what has scientists so intrigued. I mean, imagine if we could unlock the secrets of sea star regeneration. Think about what that could mean for human medicine.
Okay, now hold on. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. But yeah, the potential is pretty mind-boggling. Imagine being able to regrow damaged organs or tissues in humans. The possibilities are endless.
It's a tantalizing possibility, but there's still so much we don't know.
Right, we're just scratching the surface here. But that's what makes this so exciting.
It's a whole new frontier of scientific exploration.
Absolutely. And speaking of exploration, we're going to delve even deeper into the current research on sea star regeneration in the next part of our deep dive. We'll explore what it might mean for the future of medicine. So buckle up, folks. This journey is about to get even more interesting. So we've seen just how amazing sea star regeneration is, but what's really fascinating is how scientists are looking to these creatures for clues about how to unlock similar healing powers in humans.
It's mind-blowing, isn't it? The idea that we could actually regenerate damaged tissues or even whole organs.
I know, it sounds like science fiction, but the more we learn about sea stars, the more it feels like it could actually become a reality.
It's definitely a field with a lot of potential.
Yeah.
And it's pushing the boundaries of what we thought was possible in medicine.
So where do sea stars fit into all of this? What are researchers focusing on?
Well, a big part of it is understanding those blastomal cells we talked about earlier. Remember, those are the ones responsible for rebuilding sea star limbs.
Right, the construction crew.
Exactly. Scientists are trying to figure out how these cells work at a very fundamental level. What triggers them to become active? How do they know what type of tissue to turn into? And how do they know when to stop growing?
It's like trying to crack the code of a super complex computer program.
That's a great analogy. And if we can crack that code, we might be able to apply those same principles to human cells. Imagine being able to stimulate our own cells to repair damage in a very targeted way.
That would be revolutionary. But are there any risks involved? I mean, what's to stop those cells from going haywire and growing out of control? It's like those sci-fi movies where things go terribly wrong.
It's a valid concern, and it's something researchers are very aware of. Sea stars seem to have a very sophisticated system for regulating their regeneration process. Their cells know exactly when to start dividing, when to specialize into different tissues, and when to stop growing. We need to understand those control mechanisms before we can even think about applying similar techniques to humans.
So it's not just about finding the right cells, it's about understanding the whole intricate network that controls them. It's a delicate balance.
Exactly. And finding that balance is one of the biggest challenges in regenerative medicine. But the potential payoff is huge. If we can unlock the secrets of sea star regeneration, it could transform the way we treat a wide range of diseases and injuries.
So we're still in the early stages, but are there any practical applications of this research right now? Are doctors using sea star-inspired techniques to treat patients?
Not quite yet. We're still in the discovery phase, but the insights we're gaining from studying sea stars are already influencing research in areas like wound healing, tissue engineering, and even cancer treatment.
So even if we're not regrowing limbs just yet, this research is already having a tangible impact.
Absolutely. It's a great example of how basic research can lead to unexpected applications down the line. We might not see sea star-inspired therapies in hospitals tomorrow, but the knowledge we're gaining is laying the foundation for future breakthroughs.
It's amazing to think that these creatures we see on the beach could hold the key to unlocking new medical treatments.
I know, right? It's a reminder that nature often holds the answers we're looking for. We just need to know where to look.
This whole conversation has really shifted my perspective. I used to think of sea stars as just pretty creatures, but now I see them as these incredible biological marvels with so much to teach us.
And that's the beauty of science. It's all about expanding our understanding of the world around us. And sometimes, the most unassuming creatures can hold the most profound lessons.
Speaking of lessons, this episode also touched on the evolutionary reasons behind sea star regeneration. Why would they evolve such an incredible ability?
Well, think about the environment they live in. It's a pretty harsh world down there, full of predators and unpredictable dangers. Sometimes losing a limb is just the price of survival.
So it's like a get-out-of-jail-free card, sacrifice an arm to escape a predator, and then just regrow it later.
Exactly. It's a brilliant adaptation that allows them to survive encounters that would be fatal for other creatures. And not only does it help them survive, it also allows them to continue to find food and reproduce, passing on their genes to the next generation.
It's amazing how natural selection has shaped these creatures over millions of years, equipping them with such remarkable abilities.
It really is a testament to the power of evolution. And it makes you wonder what other incredible adaptations are out there waiting to be discovered.
Well, this deep dive has definitely left me with a sense of awe and a thirst for more knowledge. I'm ready to learn everything I can about these fascinating creatures.
That's the spirit. And there's so much more to explore. We've only just scratched the surface.
Okay, so we've covered the how, the why, and the potential applications of sea star regeneration. But there's one more piece of the puzzle I'd like to delve into, the idea of an internal map that guides their regeneration. Can you tell us more about that?
Absolutely. That's one of the most mind-boggling aspects of this whole process. Imagine this. A sea star loses an arm, and it starts to regrow. But it doesn't just grow any old arm. It grows an exact replica of the one it lost, the right size, the right shape, the right position. It's like they have a blueprint stored somewhere in their biology.
So it's not just about regenerating cells, it's about regenerating the entire structure with incredible precision.
Exactly. And scientists believe that this blueprint might be connected to their nervous system. Remember that central nerve ring we talked about earlier? Well, it seems to play a key role in sensing the loss of a limb and then coordinating the regeneration process.
So it's like their nervous system is the architect, overseeing the construction of the new limb. That's incredible.
And it gets even more fascinating. Some researchers believe that this internal map might not just be about physical structure, but also about function. In other words, the new limb doesn't just look like the old one, it also works the same way.
So they're not just growing a scare part, they're replicating the original down to the last detail.
That's the theory. It's like having a backup copy of your arm, ready to go if needed.
It makes you wonder if we could ever understand this process well enough to apply it to humans. Imagine being able to regenerate a damaged spinal cord or a lost limb. Not just a replacement, but a perfect replica of the original
It's a
cow.
long way off, but the possibility is certainly intriguing. Sea stars are showing us that regeneration at this level is possible in nature. Now it's up to us to figure out how they do it and whether we can learn from their example.
Well, I think it's safe to say that this deep dive has left us with more questions than answers, but in the best way possible. It sparked a whole new level of curiosity about these amazing creatures.
And that's what it's all about. Science is a journey of constant discovery, and sea stars are proving to be fascinating guides on that journey.
So for anyone listening who's now as captivated by sea stars as we are, what would you recommend they explore next?
Well, there are tons of resources available online and in libraries. I'd encourage everyone to learn more about the different species of sea stars, their habitats, and the latest research on their regenerative abilities.
Great advice. And maybe, just maybe, some of our listeners will be inspired to pursue careers in marine biology, regenerative medicine, or other fields that could help us unlock the secrets of sea star healing.
It's certainly a field ripe with possibilities, and with the continued dedication of researchers and the inspiration provided by nature, the future of regenerative medicine looks bright.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise and insights with us. It's been an incredible journey.
It's been my pleasure. Always happy to talk about the wonders of the natural world.
And to all our listeners, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep marveling at the incredible world around us. You never know what amazing discoveries are waiting just around the corner. Okay, so we've explored the incredible world of sea star regeneration, the how, the why, and even the potential for human medicine.
It's really opened our eyes to the amazing power of nature, hasn't it?
Absolutely. But there's one thing that keeps coming back to me, this idea of an internal map that guides the regeneration process. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure, it's one of the most fascinating aspects of sea star regeneration. Think about it. They don't just regrow a random blob of cells. The new limb has to be the right size shape and it has to fit perfectly with the rest of the body.
Right. It's not just about cells multiplying. It's about them knowing where to go and how to rebuild an arm that's not just functional, but seamlessly integrated into the sea star's body.
Exactly. Scientists believe that this blueprint might be linked to the sea star's nervous system. You remember that central nerve ring we talked about earlier? Well, it seems to play a crucial role in sensing the loss of a limb and then directing the regeneration process.
So the nerve ring is like the conductor of the regeneration orchestra, making sure everything is in sync.
That's a great way to put it. And here's where it gets even more incredible. Some researchers believe that this internal map might not just be about physical structure, but also about function.
Okay, so what does that mean?
Well, it means that the new limb isn't just a cosmetic replacement. It actually works like the original. The muscles, nerves, sensory cells, they all develop in the right places and connect properly, so the sea star can use the regenerated limb just as effectively as the one it lost.
That's incredible. So it's not just about growing back an arm, it's about replicating the original down to the last detail.
Exactly. It's like having a backup copy of your arm ready to go if needed.
It makes you wonder if we could ever understand this process well enough to apply it to humans. I mean, imagine if we could regenerate a damaged spinal cord or a lost limb, not just a replacement, but a perfect replica of the original.
It's a vision that drives a lot of the research in regenerative medicine. Sea stars are showing us that regeneration at this level is possible in nature. Now it's up to us to figure out how they do it and if we can learn from their example.
Well, I think it's safe to say that this deep dive has left us with more questions than answers, but that's the beauty of science, right?
It's all about exploration, asking questions, and pushing the boundaries of our knowledge. And sea stars are proving to be incredible guides on this journey.
They really are. So for anyone listening who's now just as fascinated by sea stars as we are, what would you recommend they explore next?
Well, there are tons of resources available online and in libraries. You could start by learning more about the different species of sea stars, their habitats, and the latest research on their regenerative abilities.
Great advice. And who knows, maybe some of our listeners will be inspired to pursue careers in marine biology, regenerative medicine, or other fields that could help us unlock the secrets of sea star healing.
It's a field ripe with potential, And with the passion of researchers and the inspiration we get from nature, who knows what the future holds?
Well, on that note, it's time to wrap up our deep dive into the fascinating world of sea star regeneration. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your expertise. It's been an amazing journey.
The pleasure was all mine. Always happy to talk about these incredible creatures.
And to our listeners, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and never stop being amazed by the wonders of the natural world. Until next time.